Hello YouTube fans, here we are again in Vincenzo's kitchen. Just wanted to show how nice our table looks here, set up for the holidays. We even have a nice snowflake hanging from the ceiling light. And as you can tell, the lighting is great, even switching over to all those 8-watt LED light bulbs, which is going to save me a few dollars on my electric bill, actually more than a few dollars. And today I threw a pot of chicken soup. Sorry about that, almost fell off the chair. A pot of chicken soup on the stove, and I thought, well, I should make some biscuits or at least the loaf of bread. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some bread, and I'm going to share this other original recipe here. I'm pretty jazzed up about making this bread again. I had tried this recipe before and it worked out real well, so I'm going to try and repeat it. This is a nice savory bread. It is got a lot of good ingredients in it. I hope you can see me here. And I'm using my Pyrex dish. This is the one I turned upside down to make my meatloaf. And what we're going to do is we're going to spray him with some coconut oil so he slides out of that pan nice for us. And we'll also throw a little bit of a brown crust on there. Alright, we have some spices here. I got some garlic, I have some baking powder, some butter. I have a nice little ramekin filled with dried onions. I have some chia seeds right here. I have some garlic powder, some onion powder, and some pepper in this ramekin. And we're going to start here. First, I'm going to take my coconut flour. I'm going to get a big spoon here. And we're going to spoon out some coconut flour. This was in the refrigerator. That's where I keep mine. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to go 5 heaping teaspoons in there. That's probably real close to a half of a cup, maybe just a little bit more than that, but that's okay. Going to add about 1/8 of a teaspoon of xanthan gum because we want this to stick together. It'll make it kind of chewy, and I also keep that in my refrigerator. We're going to mix all our dry ingredients in the bowl. Now this is about a teaspoon of onion powder, like half a teaspoon of garlic powder, and about a teaspoon worth of pepper. And we're going to stick him in there. And now we're going to take our baking powder, and to get some rise out of this bread, we're going to go about, that's probably about a teaspoon there of the baking powder, maybe a little bit less, not much less. Now for bread, I like bread that smells and tastes like yeast, so I saved a clean spoon here. And this is in the refrigerator, and I'm going to take about 1/2 teaspoon of the Fleischmann's bread machine yeast, but it'll work for me, which I also keep in the refrigerator. So let me pop these things back real quick. Okay, and we're going to take our fork, and we're going to mix these up real fast, our dry ingredients. Notice how I always turn the bowl. It's a great way, you know, you're acting like, you know, you're your own machine here. And you want to get the lumps out. I got the lumps out from the flour. coconut flour is a low-carb flour. I'd rather use that than the almond flour, which has way too many carbs for me. All right, now I'm going to add my onion bits in here, and that's probably 2 tablespoons. And I am going to add my chia seeds in here. Gives it that nutty flavor. And we're going to dry mix that in again. This will give it a nice hearty flavor. Alright, we got that in there. That's all my ramekins. And I'm also going to put, I think I'll use 2 stevia packets. We'll mix them in there. And I'm going to get some salt in there. We got about a half a teaspoon of salt. Stick him right in there. Now this is iodized salt. Okay, we're going to again blend our dry mix together. Looks great. There's what the mixture looks like dry. You see the chia seeds, all that goodness in there, a lot of good flavors. A layering of the flavor in. Right while we're getting ready to mix this up, I want to take a whole stick of butter, and I'm going to stick them in a cup, and I'm going to nuke them for about 30 seconds. And we're going to use him in there also. Now what I want to do is add my eggs right now. I'm going to add them right now. And some people separate out the eggs. I don't feel the need to do that. We've got 4 eggs in here. I actually went down and got some eggs from the chickens. And I'm going to just start mixing all this together. So we're mixing this up. We're melting our butter. Our oven is preheated, and it's preheated to 375. And after this gets all put together, and we're mixing it, we're going to bake this for probably close to 45 minutes. But we're going to check on it at a half an hour. Now I'm going to let my butter cool down since we added some egg. But what I do want to do is I want to add, now there's almost a whole teaspoon of garlic, minced garlic. And we do have garlic powder here, but I like a flavorful bread. And I'm going to finish using using the rest that's in this jar, which will probably be about 1.5 teaspoons. It just smells wonderful. My kitchen smells so good. I got my chicken soup on the stove on a rolling boil. I'm just a happy guy today here. We're starting to turn colder. This is the soup chili season. I spend a good deal of time in the kitchen. This is cooled down enough now to add that. That's a whole stick of butter. We're going to stir him up real fast. Now I don't like a, like a cupcake batter type bread. I want a crusty bread. If I can get it crusty. So even adding that, this is a little bit on the drier side. Not quite like oatmeal, which is where I want to get it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil in here. We're going to just add a little bit. That's probably 2 tablespoons. And we're going to continue to mix him up. Again, spin in your bowl, and you want to go from the outside to the inside for mixing things, and you won't scatter it everywhere. All right, see, we're a little bit dry there yet. I might add one more egg. Gonna add one more egg to this. And if I need to, I'll add a little bit of water. Now this should make a whole big loaf there because I'm expecting it to rise. And what I'll do is I will post the finished product on my Facebook page. Gardening with Vincenzo, LLC. A ton of good videos there. Like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Take a peek at my GoDaddy website, gardeningwithvincenzo.com. I generally post quite a few things on there as well, but not as much as on my Gardening with Vincenzo LLC. Okay, so we're still a little bit thick. I'm going to let my water run a minute. I just changed the Don Stiller's filter with the carbon filter. I have a pure filter right here. And I'm going to put in here about a half a cup of water. There we go. Well, that should definitely do it. A coconut flour really, really absorbs liquids. It's amazing. You know, we've got 5 eggs in there. We have a whole butter. We've got some virgin olive oil. Yeah, that loosened it up perfect. And it'll kind of like set up on you with the liquids. It's already started to absorb the liquids. Well, this is about how we want the consistency. It's not quite cookie dough. Not quite. It's a little more moist than that. And we're going to take our big spoon and we're just going to take him right out of there. We've got a well-oiled pan because that's what we want. And we're going to take him. That fits maybe half. That's about half of the loaf pan. And what we want to do is just kind of squish them down a little bit. Because we want him to be even when he rises and starts to bake. Now, this is a nice hearty bread. It's low carb. It's gluten free. And it'll just go terrific with the chicken soup I have in there because that's going to be my lunch. I'm smoothing him out there. I want him smooth on the top. Alright, so as you can see, the depth that this is right now, and what I'm going to do, because I want to get a nice crust on them, is I'm going to spray the top of the bread with some coconut oil. This is gluten-free. And it was very hard to find one that's actually said gluten-free. Alright, we got our stuff put away. And here's another thing that I'm going to do. Since we already sprayed that, we want a nice flavorful hearty bread. I'm going to just take a little bit of this onion powder, sprinkle it on. A little bit of the garlic powder on the top because it'll stick nicely on there. And I think maybe a little pepper too. I'll do a little pepper. You could sprinkle on here pretty much anything that you want for flavorings. Experiment. It's always good to experiment. Now, I was debating adding, some cheddar cheese on top of this, but I'm not sure if it'll interfere with the loaf itself. So, here's what we've done. I've told you the ingredients. We got them on 375, and we're just going to stick them in there. I expect them to rise to at least the level of the top of this. And then what we'll do is we'll flip them, on a plate. And when he comes out, if he's not brown, then what I might do is I might actually sprinkle a little of the cheese on top of there and stick them back in the oven just to make that crispy, cheddary look. So you may want to think about that. I also thought about taking some minced onions and putting them on it, but I thought, no, that's too wet. I want this to kind of marry all the flavors that are in there, kind of a layering of the flavor in before I pop them in the oven. And I feel pretty comfortable with this right here. Alright, this is another original recipe, Gardening with Vincenzo. Remember to check that Facebook page, Gardening with Vincenzo LLC, for a nice pic of the finished product. This is going to probably take pretty close to a half an hour, 45 minutes. Always check on your stuff because ovens vary. And there is a difference between when you bake something in a metal pan and bake something in a glass pan. And I have several metal bread pans, but I really like this one here. I use this all the time. Alright, there we go. We're going to stick them in the oven right on the top rack. And let them cook. I'm taking note at the time. And here's another original recipe, Gardening with Vincenzo. Like and subscribe YouTube channel, Gardening with Vincenzo LLC, gardeningwithvincenzo.com for GoDaddy. Pick yourself up one of these shirts. Support the effort. Remember, we can save this planet 1 yard at a time, beginning with your own. You are what you eat. Fresh is always best, including fresh baked. Grow as a person. Plant a garden. All right. Good speaking with you. Be safe out there, America. Have a joyous holiday season.